Today's a WRAL weather alert day for high heat and strong storms this evening. I'll walk you through the timeline of when the storms arrive and how strong they could be. Hockey Hall of Fame. Will this finally be the year that Rod Brind'Amour gets this prestigious honor? We look ahead to the announcement of the class of 2026 this afternoon. More data center drama. Today, another county in our area is considering a pause on new development. The latest decision on a topic that has divided many communities. It is a WRAL weather alert day, and our meteorologists say a cold front will bring the chance of damaging winds this evening. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Levinga. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Elizabeth Gardner, who has been tracking why today is a WRAL weather alert day. We're talking about later in the afternoon into the evening hours, Elizabeth.
That's right. The earliest we would probably see any of this is going to be right around the evening commute. And we do have, again, late afternoon and evening storms in our forecast. Here's why. We're tracking this front right here, and you can see, especially from Nashville west across the Mississippi, a big line of thunderstorms. Also a cluster up here in West Virginia that's a little bit closer to the low. Well, all of this is going to move into our area a bit later. This front has a history of producing tornadoes and strong damaging winds, but we don't have a tornado threat per se. You know, anytime we have strong storms, it's a possibility, but this looks like more of a straight line wind issue for us today. By 5 o'clock, there could be a few isolated storms in our north and western counties. And between 6 and 7, we kind of see that first push coming through, and we'll likely see that moving out by 10 or 11, could be followed by a few more lingering showers into the wee hours of the morning. This is a look at our severe threat from I-95 eastward. It's a level 1 risk. That tends to mean maybe 1 or 2, 3 different storms could produce some wind damage. But then from I-95 westward, that's where it could be more frequent. We may see more storms that are producing wind damage in that level 2 risk in yellow. It's also hot out there. It doesn't look like we see a whole lot of people out here at Dix Park, and there's some, you know, they do have that wonderful water feature out there, but it's 90 degrees already with a dew point of 70. So the heat index is going to be an issue for us. We're going to see highs climbing into the upper 90s, and the heat index likely to easily be 102 to 104 through the afternoon. We'll walk you through that and talk about when that could change. We also have more chances for rain Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe even Saturday and Sunday. We desperately need the rain. I'll show you how much it could total up to coming up. Ken?
I'll take it from here, Elizabeth. Thank you. Well, new at noon, an estimated 180,000 people packed the streets of Raleigh to celebrate the Carolina Hurricanes Stanley Cup victory. Earlier estimates put that figure around about 150,000. And WRAL made sure to give viewers at home all the best angles as the parade made its way down Hillsborough and Fayetteville streets. And Canes fans are hoping the accolades will keep coming. The Hockey Hall of Fame will name its newest class later today. And a big question is, if Rod Brind'Amour will get the nod. Just a week after winning the Cup, Rod Brind'Amour's star power could not be any higher. And WRAL's Sean Gallagher is at Lenovo Center. Sean, what are the odds that Brind'Amour gets a Cup and a call to the Hall in the exact same year?
Well, Chris, he certainly has an argument here when you consider how great his career was, but especially when you take a look here behind me at the Lenovo Center, all that went into posting every single one of these 16 warning flags over the course of this postseason. You can definitely tell it's a team and really a franchise quite literally molded around Rod Brind'Amour, both as a player and a coach. Now, aside from looking like he could still put up meaningful minutes in an NHL game at 55 years old, Rod the Bod's career spans 2 decades, posting more than 450 goals and more than 700 assists, and the Hurricanes' first Stanley Cup back in 2006. Now, those stats haven't been enough to make it into the Hall since he's been eligible in 2013, but his checklist as a coach clearly adding to his resume. 8 straight playoff appearances and now another Stanley Cup for the franchise he helped establish as a winner, and the first person in 70 years to win a cup for the same franchise as a player and a coach. But the thing is, right now, he's eligible as a player, not for his entire body of work as a coach as well.
And he means more to this franchise than I think anybody, you could make a case that anybody means to their franchise. But, he's being compared against his contemporaries as players. And when you look at the stats, his numbers are just not quite there, or at least haven't been there to gain induction yet. Now, when you put in that full body of work, a hockey life, I think he deserves to be in.
Looking at Nameko Park, where the Zebulon Devil Dogs play. It's pretty calm out there for the time being, some overcast skies. But again, later in the day, that's when things could ramp up for this WRAL Weather Alert Day. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or your streaming device. A Texas family is grieving because a Tesla crashed into their home and killed a 76-year-old woman inside. I want to show you a video of the moment that Tesla Model 3 slammed in front of the home. There's another video that's available that shows just how fast the Tesla was traveling. The crash killed a 76-year-old grandmother who was inside the home. She died after being taken to the hospital. And one neighbor said the driver appeared to be screaming as the vehicle came down the street. He told investigators his vehicle's automated driving assistance system was activated when the crash happened. Today marks day 6 of a warehouse fire that led to a state of emergency in California. If you haven't seen the video, let me show you this, the aftermath. The fire began Wednesday around 2:30 p.m., and that was on the roof of a massive cold food storage facility near LA. Well, the fire is still producing smoke and affecting air quality throughout that region today. People who live there have been urged to stay indoors and have their windows and their doors closed. Firefighters will begin the investigation into what caused that fire once it's safe to go.
A note of gratitude from Iran's football team following their goalless draw against Belgium at Los Angeles' SoFi Stadium. LA hosted Iran's first 2 matches, but because of travel restrictions, the team has been based in Tijuana, Mexico, and is commuting to the U.S. The note read in part, "We came to Los Angeles with pride, competed with honor, and leave with dignity. Thank you, Los Angeles, for your hospitality." Iran's Team Melli also thanked their supporters and called for peace, respect, and friendship among all nations. The team will next face Egypt in Seattle. A busy day of FIFA World Cup soccer today on Fox 50. Argentina plays Austria at 1 o'clock. Then at 5 p.m., it is France against Iran. At 8, it will be Norway versus Senegal. The tournament will run through July 19th. Serena Williams is returning to singles after a Wimbledon wildcard entry. The 23-time Grand Slam singles champion last played singles at the 2022 U.S. Open. Williams won 7 championships at Wimbledon, her last in 2016 when she won the doubles event with her sister Venus and the singles event. Serena emphasized that she's returning for the love of the sport, and she wants her daughters to see her compete.
Well, this June has been more windy than usual, and meteorologist Chris Michaels shows us why and also explains the pros and the cons to wind gusts this time of year.
June, July, and August are typically when the wind backs off, but so far this June, our average wind speed has been close to 8 miles per hour, which is what you would typically see in the month of February. The average wind gust speed per day has been about 26 miles per hour, so definitely windy out there. Let's talk about what causes that. So you have high pressure and low pressure. The air tries to go from the high to the low to essentially fill the void, but there's an invisible force in the atmosphere called the Coriolis force. It takes that natural flow of the air and deflects it to the right. So the pattern we've seen over the past few weeks is high pressure off to the east, low pressure to the west. And so the difference between those two pressure systems squeezes the air and allows it to get a little gusty at times. A lot of that has been a very hot breeze. Now, there's some pros and cons to this. Number one, when it's windy, it mixes out some of the humidity, but it does add to a brush fire risk. Not quite as high as what you would see in the fall and in the spring, but 3 of the 4 factors for wildfire growth we've got: high heat, gusty wind, and that prolonged drought.
Well, and today, yes, obviously some slight wind gusts that we're seeing, but it's really what we're setting for later on the day that you've been tracking, Elizabeth.
So we've got this cold front that's going to come through. It has a history of producing tornadoes and damaging wind, and so we're not going to see anything as bad as what happened just to the west of us, but we do have that potential for some damaging wind gusts. Most of this will be toward the end of the evening commute and then on toward midnight or so. Level 1 and 2 risk for severe weather, and our biggest threat will be those damaging wind gusts. Let's take a look at where this front is right now, and it is continuing to bring some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Nothing severe with this currently until you get all the way back towards, say, Memphis and down the Mississippi Valley. We have a cluster of thunderstorms moving into West Virginia, but again, at least at this point, none of that is severe. Typically, when we see these fronts cross the mountains, they weaken at least somewhat, and certainly it looks like that could happen for us. This is 3 o'clock, so we'll be pretty dry, at least as the evening commute starts. At 5 o'clock, if you're driving, say, from Durham toward Raleigh, you might run into a few isolated showers or storms, and then it really picks up as we get between, say, 6 and 7, and then continues to move eastward with a chance of some lingering showers, potentially till around midnight or maybe 2 a.m. in our eastern counties. This is a look at the severe threat in green here. That's level 1. That means that there may be 1 or 2 or 3 storms that develop with wind damage. But then back to the west, that next level, level 2, means that we may have more forming than what we'll have a little bit farther to the east. Already we're seeing these great big puffy cumulus clouds as we look across Wake County toward Garner, and these will just get taller and taller and taller until they form a thunderstorm. So that's sort of the precursor to what we're going to see this afternoon. Our dew point is 70, so that really pings way over on the Mungie meter, and of course 90 degrees is 90 degrees. So what does that feel like together? 95 in the Triangle. It feels like 99 in Goldsboro and Clinton. Feels like 97 in Southern Pines. The actual temperature is on the left, and the heat index is on the right. It feels like 97 in South Hill. So we do have major heat risk across our area. We're going to keep it just under heat advisory criteria, but if you have to spend time outside this afternoon, you want to take all the precautions that you can. And then we have that level 1 and 2 severe weather threat as we get through the evening hours. Around town, our high will be in the upper 90s, but of course the heat index will feel even hotter than that this afternoon. It'll feel like anywhere between 101, 102 up to maybe 104. So again, just take it easy. It's all because of this humidity. It makes it feel hotter than it really is. But high pressure to our north behind our cold front will actually give us a little break from the humidity between Tuesday and Wednesday. So that'll be nice to see. But by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it is back on. So it'll be a brief break. And the temperature gets a little bit cooler, too, in the low 90s for Tuesday and Wednesday. We're back into the upper 90s over the weekend with more chances for showers and storms Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll talk about how much that could be coming up. We'll be right back after the break.
We've told you about digital shelf labels, or DSLs. Well, Walmart expects the system to be in all of its stores by the end of the year. The nation's largest retailer says the high-tech price tags will help employees do their jobs. Some lawmakers, though, are concerned that the change will result in surge pricing. That's when companies automatically raise the prices of goods or services when demand is high and supply is limited. Walmart denies that, saying prices will be exactly the same for every customer in every store.
So it looks like using warm colors in your home could help it sell faster. Zillow's 2026 paint color analysis found adding warmer colors to some rooms can increase buyer interest. It could also put more money in your pocket. Researchers say adding chocolate brown in a bedroom could add roughly $2,200 more to a home's offering price. Other high-performing colors include pale blue in the living room and charcoal gray to the bedroom. Those colors could add $1,200 to the price, while sage green could add about $1,000. So a little bit could go a lot.
Reflecting pool repairs, from algae to peeling paint, visitors say the landmark is in disrepair. What President Trump blames for the new problems.
Plus, severe weather marks the change of seasons across the country. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner returns with a look at our local forecast. And we do have a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers right here on your screen. Again, we return to a WRAL weather alert day. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, she's been tracking exactly what the system could bring for us.
And sorry, let's get to Elizabeth.
She's excited to talk about it.
I was very excited about this. No, not really. We need the rain, but we do have that potential for some severe storms. But it's getting closer and closer to us. That front's getting closer to the mountains. No storms in our mountains just yet, but we're definitely seeing them up into West Virginia and starting to see a little bit of it pop here in upstate Georgia. So we're going to be watching that coming across North Carolina. Out ahead of it, we have a strong southerly flow. So we have a lot of moisture and a lot of heat here for this front to work with. So we're looking at a good chance of storms. Starting at 5 o'clock, some of our northwestern counties should see some of the storms. And then as we get through the evening commute and into the overnight hours, some of this will continue. I think it'll mostly be over by the time we get to early Tuesday morning. We have a level 2 risk for most of our viewing area, a level 1 risk in our far eastern counties. Level 1 means maybe a handful of storms are severe with some wind damage, and the yellow area means just a few more likely. Of course, we're looking at pretty big heat index already, 99 in Clinton and Goldsboro, feels like 95 in Durham and Raleigh. So the heat index is going to be a big deal as well. Obviously not stopping anyone here in Pinehurst. They are out and about, but our high this afternoon likely to be around 97. Coming up, I'm going to walk through more chances of rain, not just for tonight, but in the week ahead. And I'll show you how much rain we could see coming up.
And you can also download the WRAL weather app and plan ahead for severe weather anytime. Turn on alerts to get notified about severe weather in your location. It is free wherever you download your apps.
We're following some breaking news here in the WRAL Live Center. Entertainment icon, a man who really shaped modern music as the president of Columbia Records, Clive Davis, has died at the age of 94. This news being confirmed to NBC by the family today. This is the man who's known with the magic ear, who has been associated with some of the biggest names in music history. He's fostered the careers of icons such as Whitney Houston, Neil Diamond, Bruce Springsteen, Aretha Franklin, and Kelly Clarkson, just to list a few. Earlier this year, he was hospitalized following an upper respiratory issue and was released a few days later. He died in his Manhattan apartment today, according to the Times, but an official cause of death has not been shared.
That's Corey. Thank you, Laura. Part of US 64 in Zebulon is back open after a serious crash this morning. This happened near the US 264 split. Video from the WRAL breaking news tracker shows a pickup truck flipped into the wood line, and our team was there as the ambulances were at the scene and firefighters worked to rescue the people in the truck. We are working to learn how many victims there were and what their conditions are this afternoon. A person is recovering from a stabbing at a hotel in Raleigh. Officers responded to the Comfort Inn off Waketown Drive, and that was just before noon yesterday. Police say the victim was stabbed in the arms and the legs, and that person was taken to the hospital and is expected to live. At last check, no arrests have been made.
Less than a month after President Trump had the reflecting pool resurfaced, he now says it will likely need to be drained again. The president met with contractors at Camp David over the weekend, saying the repairs would be completed as quickly as possible. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez reports.
This morning, a monumental mess outside the Lincoln Memorial, with National Park Service workers scrambling to fix the iconic reflecting pool. Despite a recent $14 million renovation spearheaded by the president, the reflecting pool has been plagued with algae blooms that turn the water green and peeling paint.
Why do it in the first place? Don't fix what's not broken.
President Trump now says the reflecting pool will need to be at least partly drained for repairs immediately and is blaming the problems on vandalism without presenting any evidence. On Friday, U.S. Park Police arrested three-time Olympic canoeist David Hearn, charging him with destruction of government property after he reached into the water to touch a piece of the peeling paint. He denies doing anything wrong.
They didn't remove, tear, rip, break, or destroy any of it. The condition of the reflecting pool was the same after I stepped away from the water as it was before I got there.
Now the Trump administration is threatening years in jail for anyone who damages the pool.
Anyone who is in a position of vandalizing or attempting to vandalize the reflecting pool will face the criminal justice system in D.C.
Maintenance of the century-old reflecting pool has been a challenge for decades. The president had pushed to overhaul it ahead of the nation's 250th anniversary celebrations, touting a new blue base.
Everybody's looking at that reflecting pool. They can't believe it. Reflects. We used a dark blue. It's called American flag blue.
But soon after the pool's reopening in the heat, the blue water turned green from that algae bloom. Workers rushed to clean it up, dumping hydrogen peroxide into it. Then pieces of the newly repainted bottom began peeling. Now the search for a new solution is underway, with less than 2 weeks until the 4th of July.
Now, the owner of the company involved in the renovation says it would perform maintenance on the pool. No word on whether the company will require additional work to correct the problem.
Tonight, the UNC Tar Heels are looking to bring home their first College World Series championship. UNC was facing elimination yesterday after losing Game 1 to Oklahoma, but they pulled off the 6-2 win in Game 2 to force a third and deciding game here. This is the Heels' third time ever in the championship series and the first since 2007. First pitch for tonight's game, it is at 7 p.m. All right, we're talking about shopping smart. Amazon Prime Days, it is this week. And it's a big shopping temptation along with it. We'll talk about how to score the deals scam-free.
And severe summer storms. Midwest getting pummeled with rain, flooding, and tornadoes. The area seeing the most damage.
Well, it is a big week for shopping as Amazon Prime Days begins tomorrow. 5 on your side's Alex Littlehale shows us how often customers can fall victim to scams during these busy shopping days.
You can find and buy quite literally almost anything on the internet these days. In fact, almost to a fault. Online purchasing, you may not have known this, is the most common scam reported in North Carolina. WRAL actually dug through some of the numbers. Here's what we found. There are more than 2,200 reported cases of online purchasing scams to the Better Business Bureau in the state of North Carolina over the last 12 months. That makes up almost a third of the total scams reported in the state. So why exactly is this happening?
Online security company McAfee found 40% of shoppers would trust a lower-priced deal without even verifying it. Especially around Prime Day, scams can pop up. Here are 2 Amazon-related scams that McAfee found this time last year. So here's how to keep your money safe. There is an age-old saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Even in 2026, that applies. Look out for deceptively low prices or online coupons meant to lure and defraud unsuspecting shoppers just looking for a bargain. Plus, know that Amazon will never call you about suspicious or unauthorized purchases. Alex Littlehale's 5 on your side.
Extreme heat and storms, from triple-digit heat on the West Coast to flooding in the Midwest. What will the system bring our way? Elizabeth Gardner has the answer after the break.
Plus, the benefits of birdwatching, how this hobby can help put your mind at ease. Well, a Fuquay Arena man is beside himself after losing $750,000 in an elaborate scam. He sat down with 5 on your side's Megan Cloherty to share how he was duped and what you should be looking for.
Wesley Marley is hoping he'll get some of the money he lost back in his bank account. Agents investigating what's called a pig butchering scam that caught Marley told him because he reported his losses quickly, they were able to track the money before the scammers moved it overseas. Marley says the entire scam began with a woman calling him in what he thought was an innocent mistake of dialing the wrong number, and they got to chatting. That turned into a months-long relationship where the two shared details about their family and day-to-day lives. He says when she brought up the idea of investing in crypto, he turned her down. But when he finally invested, he saw a big return.
So I put in 300 and I took out about 600. And then it got a little bigger each time. And the last time I put in maybe $8,000 and I made $20,000. And I took it out and put it in my bank account in my hands, had it in my hands, $20,000. And I said, well, this can't be fake. It's got to be real.
That's how they get you, by depositing real money into your account. It wasn't until he went in big time that they refused to let him cash out, and the woman he'd been talking to for months just disappeared. He was unable to contact her and quickly reached out to the FBI. It used to be if you lost money that you chose to invest, there wasn't much anyone could do to help you. But coming up tonight on WRAL at 6, how federal and local investigators are now able to track down some of the money that scammers steal and get it back to victims.
Megan, thank you. Summer is officially underway with millions of Americans facing sweltering temperatures. Meanwhile, 44 million people across the high plains and mid-Atlantic are at risk for severe storms that could bring damaging wind, rain, and possible tornadoes. NBC's Priscilla Thompson reports.
Overnight, summer storms slamming parts of the Midwest.
Be a violent tornado in progress.
Spawning nearly a dozen estimated tornadoes across Illinois.
It's getting bigger.
This one in Jefferson County sending debris flying. Another 24 reported twisters in Indiana.
From the backside heading south. There it is.
There it is. Oh my gosh, it's so big. Leaving a path of destruction.
An apartment was taken out by a tornado, multiple entrapments.
This shopping center in Evansville, Indiana, heavily damaged, littered with shattered glass and rubble. At least 3 deaths reported in Kansas and Illinois from the storms. More severe weather plaguing other parts of the country over the weekend. with heavy wind and rain drenching parts of Oklahoma, stranding drivers on a Kansas highway, and flooding a bridge to get to this farm. Floodwaters also rising in several communities across the South.
Oh, a lot of stuff has floated away.
While out west and across the plains, millions are feeling the heat.
It's really hot.
A wild weekend of weather as summer officially gets underway.
And that storm system certainly has a track record of severe weather, and we are monitoring that as it moves our way, Elizabeth. But hopefully we will not see that kind of incidents and destruction.
Absolutely. I mean, we need the rain, but we're not going to see that kind of rain that would cause flooding. And tornadoes are not in our forecast, at least right now.
Good.
I mean, check in with Kat and Mike this evening as these storms get cranked up. But at the moment, it looks like wind damage would be our biggest threat. And this will be late afternoon into the evening as our cold front rolls in. And so that's why it is a WRAL weather alert day. You can definitely see a cluster of thunderstorms that just moved through Nashville, continues across Tennessee, parts of Kentucky into West Virginia, and beginning to see a few cells starting to develop here in North Georgia, and that is the beginning of what is headed our way for later on. So this is this afternoon, starting at around 1 o'clock. We're pretty dry. 3 o'clock, not seeing a whole lot happening, but by 5 o'clock, a few cells could be moving into our northwestern counties, and then they continue to slide eastward. And I would think our severe threat is probably over by around 10 or 11, but Futurecast shows maybe one more wave coming in. That's probably just a few lingering showers into the very early morning hours. Right now, from the I-95 corridor eastward, we have that level 1 risk. That's where, maybe a few storms pop up with some wind damage, but it's more likely along and west of I-95 where we have that level 2 risk for some scattered wind damage. Let's jump ahead to tomorrow, and you can see here at 9 o'clock, there's a little bit of light rain back to the west. At lunchtime, a couple of stray showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm. Coverage doesn't look as widespread tomorrow as it does today, but still the potential for a storm or two. At this point, we don't have a risk for severe storms. We'll let you know if that changes. So a lesser chance, looking at 60% chance this evening, and then tomorrow afternoon, about a 40% chance. Thursday is probably a fairly slim chance. If we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that chance may go up a little bit more, we'll see another front that comes through and stalls near us, and that could bring us some scattered afternoon storms Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That very summer-like pattern, that just brings those afternoon pop-up cells. And because of that, our potential for much rain is fairly minimal. We're probably going to see somewhere between a half an inch and maybe 3/4 of an inch if we're lucky. But in this sort of pattern where we have these storms roll through, somebody might see a big downpour that's, maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch, but it won't be widespread like it was, say, last Friday when we had the remnants of a tropical system that just blanketed us with that nice steady rain. So what kind of rain do we need to get out of the drought in a month? We're up to 13 to 17 inches. 6 months, 33 to 37 inches. And that may sound impossible, right? But in 6 months' time, especially between now and the end of the year, we tend to see about 25 inches of rain. So this is not even double that, but that would, help to get us out of the drought. So we've got a long way to go, obviously. And some chances, as you can see in this 7-day forecast, but in our summer pattern, it's really hard to catch up.
Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, eyes to the skies. Getting into nature, it can help set a positive tone for your entire day.
After the break, why bird watching or birding can be a very calming way to relax this summer. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. So new in the last couple of hours, police say a 15-year-old was shot and killed in Raleigh. This happened Friday night along St. Giles Street. Police say a 16-year-old was the shooter. The teenager is charged with murder and was taken to a juvenile detention facility. The suspect's name will not be released because of that person's age.
Well, tonight, Zebulon town leaders could vote to give themselves a pay raise as part of the town's budget. The discussion and the potential vote comes as the town faces nearly $2.5 million of a budget deficit. The town will host a public hearing on that budget at 6 tonight and could take a vote after this. If the budget is approved, Mayor Jessica Harrison would receive a $5,000 pay raise. Commissioners would see their pay nearly double to $16,000 a year. They're also discussing cuts to parades, retreats, travel expenses, and other programming.
An estimated 180,000 people packed the streets of Raleigh to celebrate the Carolina Hurricanes Stanley Cup victory. That number much higher than organizers anticipated. And Canes fans are hoping the accolades will keep coming. The Hockey Hall of Fame will name its newest class later today. One big question is whether WRAL will get the nod. We'll bring you updates during our evening news starting at 4.
Well, there's a new attraction that's taking over San Francisco skyline at night. There's a new public art project called 7x7. It's designed to represent each square mile of San Francisco. 49 laser cannons project colorful lights up into the sky, and organizers with the nonprofit Illuminate say the project celebrates Pride Month as well as America's 250th anniversary. Rainbow-colored beams will be featured during the Pride celebrations, while red, white, and blue lights are planned for the 4th of July.
We've heard about the positive impact nature can have on mental health. Now, one psychologist suggests spending time admiring beautiful birds. Cleveland Clinic psychologist Dr. Susan Albers says bird watching or birding is a natural way to practice mindfulness meditation, which is when you stay grounded in the moment rather than focusing on any worries or repetitive thoughts. Your brain concentrates on the sights and sounds of the birds instead. You also don't need fancy equipment or to be an expert. What matters is that it helps you relax.
The number one benefit of birding is that it gets you out into nature. Studies have shown that just 15 minutes out in nature can reduce your cortisol, the stress hormone, reduce your heart rate and your blood pressure, in addition to releasing a relaxation response. So getting out into nature can be a great investment in your mental health.
The best time to go birding for your mental health is in the morning. That's when birds are the most active. You can also get exposed to the morning sunlight and fresh air, which studies have shown that this helps to boost your mood.